Hello, everybody. If you guys who are here early would do me a huge favor and just shoot me a message if you can see and hear me all right, then I will know that, and then we can get started once everyone's here in just a few minutes. Hello. Thank you, guys. I will just mute myself. Yay! I'll mute myself and we'll get going in 5 minutes or so. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Dots. It's that time again when we talk about dots. I cannot believe how many of these we've done together. I hope everyone is having a nice sort of week. Yeah, can't believe we're still going. I can't believe that next week is February. That's nuts. That is so unbelievably nuts. So in the style of last week, I wanted to start us off by having us do just a little bit of brailing together. And the thing I've actually developed for us to do is another fun little writing activity, which I will throw up on the board just as soon, not that board, what am I doing? I don't know. I clearly have some stuff. I don't understand what I'm talking about, but what I'd like for us to do, and I'll put it up on the screen here is what I meant to say, an explanation of it, is I'd like for us to just write a short little letter or note. So as you write your note, you can imagine that it is, to a student of yours or to a friend, maybe tell someone how your day went or tell them something that you'd like for them to remember, tell them something that it is important for them to know, say, hi, I miss you, I'm thinking of you, whatever thing it is. I want you to come up with a 3-sentence or so note. At the top, you can address it to the person, dear blah, 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 and then we'll indent our note. So under that, we can leave a blank line. And then under the blank line, I'm sorry, I'm trying to multitask and get my computer to stop sucking. Under the blank line, you can space in twice for the paragraph, write your 3 to 5 sentence note to someone or something, and then at the bottom, we'll leave another blank line and you can sign it. And I will show you that instruction for those of you who are visual learners just as soon as my computer stops being the worst. I think I've broken everything. I mean, I know that you guys can see me, which is good. See if I can break it, bring it back. So a 3 to 5 sentence note or letter to someone with dear, their name at the top, then, words, 3 to 5 sentences indented 2 cells from the left like a paragraph. And then you get to sign it at the bottom. Give you just a couple of moments to pull that off together. I've almost got my PowerPoint back. Sorry, I'll be able to show you guys that in writing. Close out of everything. Technology never works when you want it to. If it helps you to write out what you're going to say in print and then transcribe it, please do that. That's a smart choice. If you're good to just immediately start brailing, then make dots. think I maybe have it. Oh, maybe. So if that helps. Okay, here we go for all the money. Huzzah! Great. That is what we're working on. I'll give you 3 or so more minutes on that. Write a 3 to 5 sentence note or letter to someone. It can be a letter, a reminder, an explanation of your day, or just a way to say, I miss you. Write dear blank with a comma after it at the top, filling in their name. Leave a blank line between the salutation and your message. Indent your 3 to 5 sentence paragraph 2 cells from the left. Leave a blank line after the message and before your name. Put your name at the bottom. All right, finish up your little letter guy. I'm going to put mine up on the screen for you, and the challenge I have for you is to transcribe it. So, well, transcribe it, to interline it is the fancy word for that. Basically, take this little note that I've written here and write it out in print. You can type it into the chat if you so choose. You can just scribble it from the dots onto some paper. I was having some trouble earlier. Are you guys able to see everything you need to see now? Janet's coming in strong out the gate. Dear students.
Shane,
Yes.
the whole thing is not on the screen.
Oops. How about now?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That makes sense.
Should we mute again?
Which one's harder, reading it or writing it? Reading is harder, yeah. Yay, I'm glad. I hear it's getting a lot better. I see that you said, Robin, you said that it's getting better. That's good. That's the goal. Sad thing is that I almost actually had to send this email today. Good job. Good job, Janet. Janet dropped the text in the chat. Dear students, please do not forget to do the homework I assigned you tonight. I will be very sad if you do. I do not want to be sad. You are my only hope to avoid getting very, very sad. So do your work, with 3 exclamation points. Mr. Dittmar. Yeah, the fun thing is that I actually had to say that today. Hopefully the reading went okay. It takes some practice. I know many of you ended up with the companion reader. It's embossed dots that you can practice reading along with. There are sections, if you're taking the first round UEB test, that you have to read Braille and put the thing that it says right above it. You have to read actual dottly dots. Well, the sim Braille kind of dots, similar to what you're seeing on my screen. All right, let's talk about lower word signs. More things. You can tell, I don't know if you can, but I can tell we're sort of getting to the end. Like I can tell we're getting towards the back of the book. Like it's mostly just here's more stuff you can do. Here's more stuff you can do. Here's more stuff. It's not like here's the alphabet. It's like we're running out of new stuff, which is cool. I like running out of new stuff. We're not all the way out of new stuff yet, but we're running out of new stuff. So let's talk about word signs. Word sign, lower word sign is just a character for, yeah, this is a dumb rule. Basically, it says lower means not dot one, not dot four. Word sign means it makes up a word. Cool. There's 6 of these bad boys. B, in, enough, was, his, were. The tricky thing with these, I'm going to warn you right now. Trickiest part of this, well, there's a lot, but the trickiest part is figuring out whether you're looking at lower or uppers, especially if you are reading Braille without the shadow dots. So, you know, those shadow dots that it shows you like dots 1 and dots 4 on these are not filled in. When you're reading embossed Braille or just like Braille made with a Perkins, you're not going to know whether they are lower or not. So if it's 2, 3, 5, 6, it's were, but if it's 1, 2, 4, 5, it's a G or go. They're different words. I wonder whether anyone, particularly mean, is going to try and trick you with that at some point today. Yeah. Talk about when can you use those things. The lower word signs that represent the words be, enough, were, his, in, and was are used whenever they stand alone and may be preceded with capitals or type forms. So the word is standing alone, in, his, was, were. You can use the word sign for it. If it's capital, in, you can use that too. If it's bold, was, you can use that. The word signs for be, were, his, and was are not used when in contact with punctuation that only contains lower dots. Examples of some punctuation that include lower dots, think about them. Lots of them. Periods, only lower dots. Question mark, only lower dots. Quotation marks, we'll actually get to that rule in a second. Exclamation point, only lower dots. Comma, only lower dots. So be, were, his, was, you cannot use them if they are in contact with punctuation that only has lower dots. So to be, comma, or not to be, you don't get to write be the first way. Or the second way, actually, question mark, to be, comma, or not to be, question mark. Because comma and question mark, both lower cell, or lower parts of the cell, no dot 1, no dot 4. So both of those you're going to write be. The lower word sign for enough may be used with an apostrophe or a hyphen, if there's an upper dot in the sequence. So you can put enough, enough's enough. That one is a tricky, tricky sentence. Go ahead and using the rule that I just showed you, those 2 rules. Enoughs. So I can write 2, 6, and then I can write dot 3 for the apostrophe, and then an S, because S has a dot 4 in it, which is the top part of the cell. And I use dots 2 and 5 to write the second enough. Enough's enough. What do we think? Yep, it stands alone. You can do it. There's more tricky stuff if we add type forms or we add punctuation and all that sort of good stuff. Use the lower word sign for in with any number of lower punctuation signs, provided that there's an upper dot. Quotation marks are all lower dots. If there's not a sign, don't use the final whole word sign. So, what grade are you in? Question mark. Think about the sentence. What grade are you in? Question mark. Can I use the in word sign for what grade are you in? Lana says no, and Lana is right, because there would be no upper dots because there's a question mark there. If I had upper dots in there, then yes. If there were something with upper dots touching that in, then yes. And it says here, when you have to write it out, any appropriate contraction should be used, such as the ER in were. So if you have to write it out, we do. Obviously, if you can write a 2, 3, 5, 6 were, then do it. If you're not allowed to, because maybe it's next to some punctuations or stuff like that, then you can use the ER contraction. So W, the 2, 4, 5, 6 is W. ER is 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, and then you'd put it E. Cool. There's so many rules. It's fun, isn't it? Any questions about any of that junkie? Is today's class particularly boring? Or are you guys just very, very smart? No questions, it sounds like. I don't hear any questions. Nope, no questions. Okay, if you have any questions, please feel free to interject them. Couple more short form words, these fun guys. That's all right. No worries being late to the class. I record them all. So these are these fun short form words. We learned 10 more, 5 more plus the ing version of all of them. So declare, DCL, declaring, DCLG. Deceive, DCV, deceiving, why that's DCVG. Perceive, well that's P, and then the ER sign, CV. Perceiving, well that's P, ER sign, CVG. Receive, that's RCV. Receiving, RCVG. Rejoice, RJC, and rejoicing, RJCG. You are allowed to use those. You're allowed to do the things you need to do to them based on the rules we talked about last week with the abilities that you have to add things and put some letters at the end like D's, stuff like that. If you're ever unsure whether you can use a short form, there's a huge big appendix in the back of the UEB rulebook. It's appendix number 1. It's the short form list. It shows you all the ways you can use the short forms correctly. So check a word that you think might be right on the big fancy list. Any questions on any of the chapter 10 stuff before I put some of them fun sentences up on the screen and we get to dotting? Extra practice. Definitely doing number 3. And let's do 5, 3 and 5. So 3, we'll do the paragraph formatting, so 3 ones. 3 says, my mother-in-law, which is hyphenated, mother-in-law, comma, just after declaring that she had never won anything in her life, comma, received a nice prize from the new California lottery. Hashtag lucky. And then there's a period. Hashtag capital L, lucky. So again, number 3, my mother-in-law, hyphenated, comma, just after declaring that she had never won anything in her life, comma, received a nice prize from the new California lottery. Hashtag capital L, lucky, period. And 5 reads, by Wednesday afternoon, comma, the substitute educator perceived that he was deceived by his pupils to postpone the test, period. Again, number 5, by Wednesday afternoon, comma, the substitute educator perceived that he was deceived by his pupils to postpone the test. Give you guys a couple of minutes to braille on those 2 guys. Let me know if you have any questions. Drop stuff in the chat. I'm going to step away from the computer for 2 seconds and I'll be right back. Hi, friends. Sorry, I stepped away. I hope no one needed me terribly while I was gone. You guys about ready to see some fun stuff? I made sure to make lots of mistakes for you to find, so you guys can find them all for me. Who is ready to see stuff? I'll wait till I hear from at least one or two more people who say they're ready. Okie dokie, that's one. Yay! All right, here are my transcriptions of the two sentences. They are flawed. Help me figure out in what way they are flawed. I don't know of a good way to verbalize this because I don't want to like, it'll be very evil. It'll be very obvious if I start reading dot by dot through this where I've made some mistakes. Help me find the errors in line 3. Yep. Good job, Julie. My transcription of in is wrong because I wrote I. Instead of the low I, the 3-5. Received. What's wrong with received, Sue?
You just need a D, not an ED.
That's correct. Good job. Very frequent error I see because you want to make it past tense and you think receive ed or receive ed. But receive already has an E at the end of it. So I don't need to write an ED. I wrote an ED sign at the end of receive. What I actually wrote is received. So RCVD, received, instead of RCV ed. Good job. Anything else I did wrong? I don't think so. I don't see one. Hey, let's move on to number 5, in which I also made mistakes. I'll read 3 out loud now. So it's got 2 spaces, the number sign 3, period, space, capital MY, space. Mother is .5M, then 3-6 for the hyphen. In is the 3-5, then the hyphen. Law, LAW, comma is a .2. Just is a J. After is AF. Declaring, DCLG. That is T. She is an SH sign and then an E. Had is 456H. Never, N.5E. One is the word, WON. Anything is ANYTH sign, 1456, and then ING, 346. In is a 35, her. H and then the ER is 12456. Life, comma. Received, RCVD, A. Nice, prize. From is F. The is the 2346. New, California has a capital CALI and then the FOR. So the 12346. NIA. Lottery has an ER sign, so LOTT. And then 12456. Y. Our hashtag lucky. So we have a 456, then a 1456, then a capital sign, .6, then LUCKY, period. Number 5, tear me apart, for I have made errors. So Lisa says, I didn't think you could use the short form for the state names. Could you explain what you mean by that a little bit more for me? The only abbreviation, so I didn't abbreviate the word California because it wasn't abbreviated in the print. It was written out CALIFORNIA. So I brailled it CALI, and then the contraction for FOR is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then NIA. So the only abbreviating I did was to use the FOR contraction. Yes, and you have to do exactly the same one that's in the print. So if they had written CA, I would have had to write CA. I'm not allowed to expand that out. If they had written CALIF period, I would also have to write that. I'm not allowed to expand it out or contract it. If they write the whole word, CALIFORNIA, I'm not allowed to choose to write CA. I have to reproduce the same letters that show up in the print. So they wrote the whole state name out, so I wrote the whole state name out. I just get to use my strong group sign for FOR. Good question. Thank you, Lisa. Appreciate it. What did I do wrong in 5? Anything? Am I perfect? Am I a wizard of Braille transcription?
First word is not .5 or 4, 5, 3, 5, 6.
Oh. So the first word should be by, right?
Uh-huh.
And I wrote
Was. Or, oh, you
Or
can't.
end quotation marks.
Can't do that anyway.
There. Okay, good.
right. I wrote was. Sometimes I think it's fun to just make up, yep. Julie wrote, his was pupils. Yep. Sometimes I think it's fun to pretend that there are words that you can't contract that you can. I wrote, his was pupils. I'm supposed to have written by his pupils. So I got to fix that. So I need to write by his pupils. Anything else? Nothing else? Nothing else. Let's do more. Do, 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 do. I'd like to do numbers 12 and 14 on this slide. 12 says, although Thomas thought the game was supposed to be over by 8:30 last night, open parenthesis, or by 9:30 at the latest. 9:30 and 8:30 are 8:30 and 9:30. Close parenthesis, comma. It lasted well past his next scheduled meeting. 12. Although Thomas thought the game was supposed to be over by 8:30 last night, open parenthesis, or by 9:30 at the latest, close parenthesis, comma, It lasted well past his next scheduled meeting. 14 reads, the well-to-do is hyphenated, families of Halifax were quite willing to participate in the call-in, which is hyphenated, telethon, comma, but perceived they had done enough, italicized word enough, for now, period. Said at the beginning that it doesn't feel like there's a lot to remember, like a lot of new stuff to learn anymore. The trick is that now there's a ton to remember that you learned a long time ago. Hey, I see one ready. Get one more in on. There we go. All right. Here are some more. Here are my transcriptions. Fix them. Full screen. Sorry.
Although.
What do I do to fix although?
Get rid of the OUGH. Yeah.
Because it's a short form.
Yes.
Christy, did I fix the screen for you? I hope so.
So after Thomas, you have a .5 with a TH, and it should be without the .5, TH, .5 OU.
That's correct. What is the thing I wrote with .5 TH?
Good question.
Through.
Through.
That's okay. So I changed it from .5 TH, which would be through, to TH and then .5 OU, which would be ought, thought. Good job, you guys. Sue says my 5:30 should be an 8:30, and you're correct. Is that better? And 9:30 should be 3:30, or 3:30 should be 9:30. Thank you, Sue. I need to put another number sign after those colons. Colons and number signs. 8. So number sign 8, colon, number sign 30. Same thing, 9:30. Thanks, UEB. I love how many of you all got that right at the same time. Good job. Now we're running a little short on time, so let's see what else I messed up. Yep. Latest. Said LaTeX. L-A-T-E-S-T, not L-A-T-E-C-H. Have, I wrote a high H, it needs to be a low H for his, so the 2, 3, 6, not 1, 2, 5. That one's fun. I just spelled the actual wrong word. for you, just to see. I brailled it correctly. It's just not the right word. I wrote his last scheduled. It's his next scheduled. Problem with scheduled is that it should have ED signs instead of the letters ED. Both of those. Meeting. There we go. And since we're about out of time, let me just go quickly through 14. The well hyphen TO hyphen, I put an O at the end of do, you don't need it. Do is an alphabetic word sign and hyphen counts. So well to do, so well hyphen to hyphen D. Families of Halifax. Were, we have a 2, 3, 5, 6 for were. Quite, I made up a short form. It's just a Q. Willing to participate. I put the T backwards and participate. In is the 3, 5, obviously. The Paul hyphen in. Guess what? It should be an in sign, not an IN. Telethon. But perceived, and I did that short form wrong, so it should be P and then the ER sign, CVD. They had, so they has a THE and then Y. Had is 456H. Done is D and then a .50 for done. For enough, we're gonna do 4, 6 and then a .2, and then I've written out here ENOUGH. I don't need to. I just get to put an EN sign, a 2, 6, because it's a short form. And we can use it as a word sign. Sorry, not a short form, but we can use it as a word sign as long as it is standing alone, and you can put type forms and capitals in front of them when they're standing alone. So the italic word indicator is 4, 6, and then 2, and then a 2, 6 for the enough. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, N, and then OW, which is a 2, 4, 6, and a period. All right, today was hard. Like, today was crazy hard. These are not easy things to do. From this point, it's all about applying all of those crazy rules and remembering which one's which and looking at these big complicated sentences and figuring out how exactly to render them the right way. You guys did a really wonderful job today. I am super impressed by you. Here is just, oh no, I hit the wrong button. Here, no, I'm putting up those last 5 that I always throw up for you right now. So if you want those, give me just a second. Other than that, good job. I hope you guys have a great rest of your dot making week. We don't have too many of these left. There are your last 5 of the sentences. I got a couple of requests that I send out the sentences and the answers to those. I will do that. I keep forgetting. I'm very sorry. So I will get those things out to you guys as soon as possible. Have a great rest of your week. Thank you.